Grocery store clerk Lily Anderson secretly pays for an elderly woman's groceries when her card declines. The next morning, Lily finds her tiny apartment swarmed by reporters. The woman she helped is a famous author searching for someone worthy of her fortune. Before we get started, please write. Where are you watching this video from? The fluorescent lights above flickered with an indifferent hum, casting a pale, sickly glow over the checkout lanes of Crestview Grocery. It was the kind of store where time slowed down, and even the walls seemed tired. Lily Anderson, 27, stood at Register 4 with aching feet, a mind cluttered by overdue rent, and a face that had long since learned not to ask the world for fairness. It was her third shift in a row. Her manager hadn't asked, he'd told. That was how things worked when you needed the job more than the job needed you. Next, she called hoarsely, already scanning the items before the customer reached the end of the belt. A slight, elderly woman stepped forward. She was wearing a threadbare gray coat far too large for her narrow frame, and her gloved hands trembled as she fumbled through her purse. "One moment, dear," the woman murmured, pulling out a faded debit card. Lily glanced at the total, $23.48. Basic groceries: milk, rice, apples, a can of soup, a loaf of wheat bread. Not indulgent, just survival. The woman slid her card into the reader. Declined. She tried again. Declined. A sharp sigh came from behind. The line had grown and customers began shifting their weight, checking phones, raising eyebrows. A man 2 spots back muttered, "Come on." Lily looked up. The old woman's eyes had gone wide with embarrassment. I thought my pension came in this morning," she whispered. Her voice cracked on the last word. Lily didn't think. She just acted. Without a word, she reached into her own apron, pulled out her personal card and tapped it against the machine. Approved. She bagged the items quickly, gently. "Don't worry about it," she said softly, avoiding the woman's gaze, sensing the humiliation. "It happens all the time." But it didn't. Not really. Most people looked away when cards declined. Some even laughed. No one paid for someone else's groceries, especially not someone barely making it themselves. The old woman opened her mouth as if to protest, then simply said, "Thank you," with tears welling in her eyes. Lily gave her a small, tired smile and turned to the next customer. Next. The line moved on. No one applauded. No one even acknowledged it. A mother with a toddler didn't look up from her phone. The man who had muttered just scoffed and tossed his items on the belt. But someone had seen. From aisle 7, behind a stand of canned beans, a young man with wire-rimmed glasses and a press badge tucked beneath his coat lowered his phone, eyes wide. He didn't just see what Lily did. He recorded it. And tomorrow the world would know the name Lily Anderson. Lily was jolted awake by fists pounding against her front door. It was 6:12 a.m. She blinked hard, trying to make sense of the noise. For a moment she thought it was a dream, the kind you have after too little sleep and too much anxiety. But the pounding came again, louder this time, accompanied by muffled voices. "Miss Anderson? Lily Anderson, are you inside? Channel 9 News, please, we just want a moment." She stumbled out of bed, still in the oversized grocery store hoodie she'd fallen asleep in, her heart thudding. Her tiny studio apartment, barely larger than a walk-in closet, was suddenly too bright. Flashbulbs flickered through the cheap blinds. Cameras. Microphones. Dozens of unfamiliar faces pressed up against the second floor, landing like a wave of strangers crashing into her reality. "What the hell?" she whispered, peeking out the peephole. A woman in a tailored coat was adjusting her hair as a man held a boom mic overhead. Someone else was live streaming. Lily hesitated. Every instinct told her not to open the door. Then she heard it, the voice. Soft, shaky, familiar. "She's the one," the elderly voice said. "That's her. That's the girl." Lily cracked the door open, and there she stood, the old woman from the store. Only now she wasn't in a faded coat or struggling to keep her hands steady. She wore a powder blue wool jacket, her posture straighter, her silver hair brushed neatly behind her ears. She looked regal, like someone used to commanding attention. And suddenly it clicked. The woman wasn't just anyone. She was Grace Gardner, the Grace Gardner, best-selling novelist. literary icon. Her books were taught in universities. Her face was on dust jackets. She was worth millions. Some called her the last great American storyteller. And she was standing on Lily's doorstep, smiling gently as if the world hadn't just turned upside down. "You paid for my groceries yesterday," Grace said. "You didn't ask for anything. You didn't expect applause. You just acted. I've been waiting a long time to meet someone like you." Lily's mouth went dry. I didn't know who you were." Grace nodded. "That's why I'm here." Cameras zoomed in. A reporter shouted a question Lily didn't understand. Another tried pushing forward, but a security guard held the line. "I'm sorry," Lily said, stepping back. "I think there's been a mistake. I'm just a cashier. I didn't do anything special." Grace's eyes twinkled with something deeper than amusement. "That's where you're wrong." Then, in front of a crowd of strangers and blinking lights, Grace reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a handwritten note and a set of antique keys. She pressed them into Lily's hand. "You have no idea what you've done," Grace whispered. "But you're about to find out." And with that, Lily's quiet, hidden life exploded into something else entirely. Lily sat at the edge of her bed, still gripping the brass keys like they might vanish. She hadn't slept. The reporters had finally scattered after security escorted Grace Gardner into a waiting car, but not before half a dozen interviews, live streams, and one stunned neighbor shouting, "That's the woman from Oprah." By noon, Lily's face was everywhere. Local news ran with headlines like, "Humble Hero" or "Hidden Angel." National outlets followed fast. TikTok edits. Reaction videos. A tearful segment on morning television showing her paying for Grace's groceries in grainy surveillance footage. The clip looped with dramatic music. Someone even slowed it down like a movie trailer. At first, Lily was overwhelmed. Then came the comments. "We need more people like Lily Anderson." What a stage stunt. She knew who Grace was. Saint or social climber? "She's lying, look at how she glances at the camera." The whiplash was brutal. She showed up to work hoping for normalcy. She didn't get it. "Look who decided to show up," her manager Carl sneered as she entered. He wore the same smug look he always had when he thought he had power over someone. "Your 15 minutes are up, sweetheart." Lily opened her mouth to respond, but her coworkers beat her to it. "I mean, we've all helped customers before," muttered Cassie, the girl from Register 6. "No one gave me keys to a mansion for bagging eggs." "She's probably just using the old woman for clout," said another. Lily stood still, stunned. They hadn't said a word of support yesterday. Then Carl called her into his office. Shut the door. Sat back with folded arms. "I saw the footage," he said. "Did you know there are policies about unauthorized payments at the register?" "What?" "You breached protocol. There's concern you might have, I don't know, staged this." Her chest tightened. "That's not true." He smiled coldly. "We'll be reviewing your employment status. Take the rest of the week off." Outside the office, she could already hear whispers. Phone screens. Snickers. When she got home that night, Lily curled up on the couch with her phone, and hesitated. She opened Grace Gardner's note. "Lily, if you're reading this, then you already feel the storm. But the world only tests the ones worth watching. Come find me. I have something for you that the world doesn't deserve, but you might." There was no address. Just a phone number. And a strange sketch on the back. A compass rose with the letter E circled in red. Lily stared at it for a long time. Something didn't feel right. Why had Grace waited until now? Why her? The public act of gratitude was one thing, but this note, this secrecy, this intensity. It felt less like kindness and more like an invitation into something far bigger. Maybe even dangerous. And yet, she couldn't look away. The car pulled through iron gates as tall as trees. Lily stared out the window, stunned. The Gardner estate wasn't a house. It was a kingdom. Acres of manicured gardens, fountains carved from marble, winding pathways like something out of a dream. The mansion itself rose in soft gray stone, wrapped in ivy, windows glittering like eyes that had seen centuries. A man in a tailored suit opened the car door. "Miss Anderson. This way, please." She followed him in silence, heart hammering. Every step felt surreal. She hadn't told anyone where she was going. The compass sketch had led her here, and the number Grace gave connected to a single message. Saturday. No. Come alone. Now she was here. And not alone. As the butler opened the grand double doors, 5 other people turned to look at her. All strangers. All confused. All sitting stiffly on velvet chairs in what looked like a cross between a library and a throne room. One of them, a middle-aged man in construction boots, gave her a nod. You got the letter too? Before she could answer, Grace Gardner entered. Dressed in deep forest green, cane tapping rhythmically, Grace commanded silence without raising her voice. The room practically bent to her. Welcome, she said, her gaze sliding over each of them. I see curiosity in your eyes. Good. That means you're still alive in here. She tapped her chest. I invited you all here for one reason. I am dying. No one spoke. My estate, my wealth, my legacy, I don't want it wasted on bloodlines or vultures. I want it in the hands of someone who sees. Someone who still feels when no one's looking. Like you all once. She paced slowly, eyes never leaving them. But one act of kindness doesn't make a soul worthy. Compassion fades. Integrity cracks. And morality, she smiled cruelly. Morality is only as real as the pressure it survives. She turned to the group, voice suddenly sharper. So here's the truth. You're not the only one I tested. I dropped wallets. Faked injuries. Sent false letters. Each of you responded. Each of you helped. But now I need more than a moment of decency. I need to know who you really are, when no one's watching, when it hurts, when it costs you something. Lily's mouth went dry. This weekend, Grace continued, you'll live here. With each other. With yourselves. Every hour will reveal something new. Temptation. Truth. Pain. She gestured toward a large hourglass being turned over by a servant. You can leave at any time. But the one who remains, truly remains, will inherit everything. The silence was thunderous. And then Grace added, almost offhandedly, but be warned, this is not a contest. It's a revelation. One of you will be exposed. One of you will rise. And one of you might break. She walked out without another word, cane tapping like a metronome to madness. And the doors locked behind her. By the first evening, the air in the estate had shifted. It was no longer curiosity, it was calculation. They smiled over dinner, but it was the kind of smile you'd see before a blade slid between ribs. Lily felt it, the staging. The glances exchanged when Grace wasn't looking. The overperformed empathy. The subtle jabs coated in sugar. Lily, you don't really think this is about kindness, do you? Asked Veronica, a polished woman with perfectly manicured hands and an actress's voice. It's about survival. Grace is testing who wants it most. I think she's testing who deserves it, Lily said quietly. Veronica's smile froze. That night, Lily walked into the library and found Michael, the construction worker, pacing with a whiskey glass. He looked older than he had before. What? Watch them, he muttered. Especially the pretty one. I saw her slip a note into Grace's pocket. Playing both sides. Lily didn't answer. She was starting to see it, the way everyone tried to plant doubt. Poison thoughts. Whisper alliances. But she wasn't playing. She was watching. The next morning a new test was announced. A handwritten letter lay on each of their pillows. Someone among you is lying. Find out who. Chaos bloomed by breakfast. Accusations flew. Caleb, a smiling tech investor, cornered Lily in the greenhouse. You're too quiet, he said, eyes narrowing. People like you? You either crack early or you're hiding something big. I'm just listening, she replied. That's dangerous, he hissed. Too much listening and you start thinking you're better than the rest of us. He leaned in. You're not. She stepped back, pull steady. Later, Veronica accidentally spilled red wine on Lily's shirt. Oh dear, she cooed. I hope you brought something nicer to wear. Grace watches how we present ourselves. It wasn't a spill. It was a warning. By sunset, even Michael had turned cold. Just don't get in my way, he said. I've got a daughter who needs that money. You're just here because of a moment of luck. But it wasn't luck. And Lily knew that now. She hadn't helped Grace because someone might be watching. She hadn't hesitated, hadn't expected anything back. That moment in the grocery store, that was real. Not strategic. Not calculated. And somehow that made her dangerous to them. Because the others were playing roles. They had masks, angles, rehearsed speeches. But Lily? She didn't fit the script. It was nearly midnight when the knock came. Lily had been lying awake, staring at the ceiling of her guest room. The silence of the estate was thick, too still to be real. As if even the walls were holding their breath. The knock came again, softer this time. She opened the door to find Grace herself standing there, alone, no cane, no mask of grandeur. "Walk with me," the old woman said. They moved through the garden, moonlight casting shadows like old secrets. The air smelled of lavender and damp stone. Grace stopped by a wrought iron bench and sat, motioning Lily to join her. "I wasn't always like this," Grace said, voice barely above a whisper. "I used to believe in people. That's what my early books were about. Trust, goodness, sacrifice. But that was before the world showed me its teeth." Lily said nothing. Grace looked up at the stars, her eyes glistening. "My husband died 32 years ago. No children. My publishers became vultures. Fans? Fleeting. I wrote about love, but I lived in rooms full of lies." She turned to Lily, then really looked at her. "And then I meet you, this tired, underpaid clerk who didn't hesitate to help a frail stranger. No speech. No applause. Just action." Lily swallowed hard. "But you must know," Grace continued, "what I saw in you I wanted to believe in. Needed to. That moment in the grocery store, it haunted me. Not because of what you did, but because I realized I'd forgotten people like you existed." Her voice trembled. "And now I'm dying. My body is failing. My name will fade. But I have something left. Influence. Wealth. Enough to shake the ground if placed in the right hands." She leaned closer. "I'm not looking for a saint, Lily. I'm looking for someone who can bear the weight of being good, when it's hard. Someone who can hold on to themselves when the world chips away at their soul." Lily's throat tightened. "I see something in you," Grace whispered. "But I also see your doubt. Your loneliness. Your tired bones. The question eating at you, why me?" Grace looked back at the house. "They're all performing. You're not. But being real isn't enough. Can you carry this? When they hate you for it? When they lie, twist, steal? Can you stay good when power knocks?" Silence stretched. Then Grace said with devastating honesty, "Because if you can't, then I've lost the last thing I ever believed in." Lily didn't know what to say. Her heart ached. She wasn't ready. She wasn't perfect. But as she sat beside that dying woman, under a sky that didn't care who watched, she realized something. She wasn't afraid of failing. She was afraid of being the last chance. The final day came quietly, no announcement, no curtain rise. Just the thick, tense silence of a reckoning. Grace had summoned them all to the grand salon. The air was sharp with perfume and nerves. The others stood dressed like they were attending a coronation. Lily wore the same cardigan she'd arrived in. Grace sat in her velvet chair like a queen on borrowed time. "I've made my decision," she said. But before she could speak another word, Veronica stepped forward. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "But Lily isn't who you think she is." The room shifted. "She's playing all of you," Veronica continued. "I went to her apartment. I found letters. Plans. She's manipulating you, Grace." Lily's chest clenched. "What?" Veronica pulled out a stack of papers. Photocopies. Faked, distorted, spliced together. Her journal, but reworded. Twisted. Caleb added, "She's the best actor among us. Quiet, sweet, unthreatening. That's how con artists work." Grace didn't speak. She just looked at Lily. And the room exploded. Michael accused her of hiding her past. Veronica smirked like a woman who'd just won. Even the staff stepped back, unsure. Lily stood still. Not because she was stunned, but because she understood. This was the real test. Grace hadn't needed 5 others. She'd needed witnesses. to see if Lily would break under pressure. If she'd crack, scream, fight back. But Lily just took a breath. "You can believe them," she said quietly. "Or you can ask me." Grace's eyes narrowed. "Then tell me the truth. All of it." And Lily did. She told them about her mother's eviction. About working double shifts since 17. About paying for strangers' groceries not once but many times. She told them about loneliness, about never asking for more than what she earned, even when she deserved it. "I didn't help you because I thought you were someone," she said to Grace. "I helped you because someone needed help." Silence. Then Grace laughed, a small brittle sound. "Good," she said. "Very good." And then she said the words that cut deeper than any betrayal. "I knew your name long before that night in the store." Lily blinked. "What?" Grace reached into a drawer. She pulled out an envelope. Inside, a photo. Lily's mother, years ago, sitting beside a younger Grace. "She was my editor once. The only person who stood up to me when I started believing I was untouchable. She told me the world didn't need more books. It needed more truth." Tears stung Lily's eyes. "She died before I could thank her," Grace said softly. "But then I met you, and saw her spirit." The room had gone silent. "I choose Lily," Grace announced. "But this isn't a prize. It's a responsibility. My name, my wealth, my legacy, it's yours. If you accept it." Lily looked at them all. The liars. The games. The weight of it all. And she stepped forward. "I do." Not for herself, but for what was right.